I'm Matthew David Hurtado, and I'm here with Holly Yvette. And this is about the law of attraction and manifesting the love of your life. Who doesn't want to manifest the love of their life? Well, everybody wants it, but so few people actually ever find it in this lifetime. And what I'm talking about is the one that was meant for you. And I want to tell you what I did and synchronistically what Holly did and how we found each other. And it was so amazing because what worked for us, I'm certain is going to work for you because we operate through the law of attraction and we do it through, methods that anybody can use. It wasn't by just random, fate or luck. It was something that we created and we were ready for it. So what I did, I want to give you the long story short here, is I was listening to one of my mentors who is Dr. Pillai, and he has a mantra called Kleem. And Kleem is the sound. It's like a primordial sound, and sound is everything. And it will bring to you, it changes your consciousness. So I was doing the Kleem mantra every single day, and I continue to do that every single day. And what's funny about this, though, is that there was a bigger picture at work even before I started the Kleem, because I met Holly on a dating site 2 years, probably about 2 years before we started actually seeing each other. And we live in a small Wisconsin town. And I thought I knew everybody in this town, and we used to go to California all the time, and I was always going out there looking for the one. I thought if I would just go to a bigger area, I could, be around more people, and I'd find the person of my dreams, et cetera, et cetera. But what was happening was behind the scenes is synchronicity was lining up. And what's important for you to understand is why was synchronicity lining up? What was I doing to enact that? Because, I was causing it to happen. And Holly was too. So what I was doing was I was working on myself. I was working on learning how to love and appreciate my own self, how to take better care of my health, how to lose weight. I wanted to do that. I was 30 pounds heavier. And then, just finding emotional balance and deciding what I wanted. So.
And I was doing the same. I was going through a very similar process. I was experiencing a lot of personal growth and trying to learn to accept and appreciate things in my life that I couldn't control. And that's when Matthew started showing up.
Yeah, and what's cool about it is we literally would run into each other. So I remember, driving down Highway 14, and it's a country highway, and I was heading towards my house, and I was behind this car, and it was going so slow, and I was like, man, why is this person driving so slow? This must be an old person in the car.
I was jamming out.
And so we pull up to this little gas station. It's a small town, a couple thousand people pull up to the gas station, and then she gets out of the car, and I get out, and I'm like, oh. Now that was meeting number 2. And meeting number 1 was we were actually at a bar, and that was about 6 months earlier, maybe 6 months earlier than that. And I was hanging out with a friend at the bar, and then all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder. And what were you thinking at the time when you tapped me on the shoulder?
Well, all night I was pretty much, we kept catching each other's eye. And I kept telling my friend, I was like, I have to go talk to that guy. I know that guy. Well, little did I know that I met you out of Plenty of Fish, and that, nothing ever really came out of it because neither of us were at a point in our lives where we were ready for a relationship. Because like we said, we had to experience that personal growth.
Yeah.
But I was getting close to the end of the night, and I knew that I needed to go up to you and tap you on the shoulder.
Well, it was really cool because we felt that instant spark, and I think that's one of the keys is that when you meet the one, you're going to feel that connection, like you've known that person for longer than just this lifetime. By the way, if you're wondering what my arm's doing, I got a selfie stick down here, so I'm propping my arm. Anyway, we're shooting this in the office, so this is my company, Complete Essentials. And by the way, you want to show my book?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the #1 Amazon best-selling book. It's called Mastering the Law of Least Effort to Receive Your Desires. So a lot of the stuff I did do, I used the processes of allowing and manifesting, and that's what I did on my end to bring Holly into my universe and be ready for it. And you can get a free copy of it. Just go to the link on this page, allow.ws. And another thing we have too is we have a product with oxytocin in it, which is the love hormone.
Yeah.
So you can actually use oxytocin. Oxytocin is what you get when you hug someone or you are in a relationship. You feel oxytocin. It makes you feel loved and connected and trust and security and all those feelings. And so we have a product that's actually a brain formula called DNA Evolve, and we use that product, and it helps maintain the love vibration as well. Not to mention to think clearly.
Yeah.
For some of us, not you, me.
No.
But I do want to add one more story here. So I was out in California one time, and at one point I was into doing like the psychics thing, and I met this lady who was really just off the wall, ridiculous looking, like psychic. I mean, she was like an older lady, probably in her late 50s, and she was dressed like very inappropriately at a trade show. She was showing off all sorts of cleavage and all this stuff, and she's an older, heavier set woman, and I thought, man, and then she was like, come here, hon, I gotta tell you, she's like, let me read you, and I'm like, okay. And then she was telling me all about what was going on in my life, and at the time I was going through a divorce, and she was like, oh, honey, she's like, you're an Aquarius, you're not good with any of those other signs, you need to be, I'll tell you what, she's like, you're gonna be with a Libra, and she's going to be younger than you, but she's going to be smarter than you, so you better watch out. And she was telling me all this stuff, and this was actually, I had already met Holly on Plenty of Fish, but nothing ever hit it off, so I wasn't even thinking of Holly. I didn't even know she was a Libra. I didn't know any of this stuff. But she was telling me what she saw, and she saw Holly coming into my life. So all I can say is on my end, I was using the principles that I teach in my book, Allow, and that's what I did to manifest and be ready and open up. And I think that if you want to find true love, it's all about you opening up within yourself. You have to be ready for it, because you're going to have to change the way that you're being. And this has been a process. Our journey has not been without its growth phases,
Right. Well, it's constantly appreciating and allowing for more.
Yeah. We have an incredible dynamic, and when you find the right person, you're going to get along with them like you've never dreamed of before. Everything will be there: the chemistry, the intimacy, the romance, the intellectual connection, the soul connection. All those things are going to be there, but you're going to have to grow. And relationships are like mirrors sometimes.
Yeah.
And as you say yes to what you want, a lot of times what you don't want shows up to challenge to see if you're truly committed to that decision. And I know I've had a lot of my broken heart issues show up, from past relationships. Because when, you find the right thing, it's almost like, I remember it like almost like when let's just imagine if you got a lot of money or something and you won the lottery, you'd worry about what it was like to be broke again. And I've been in that situation. I've had 7-figure income, and then I've had it taken away for a while when I had to start a new business. So I understand, like, when you fear of losing, It's almost worse to have sometimes emotionally, because now you have to step up and you have to receive and keep it. So when you get the love of your life, that's when the work really begins. So the real work begins when you actually get in that relationship.
It's a healing process.
Yeah, and Holly's really good. And speaking of healing, invisiblehealer.com, right? Or
no,
healing?
Invisiblehealing.com.
Invisiblehealing.com. Well, that's what Holly does. Holly is like a Jedi mind master, and she blows me away, because obviously I've been through 20 years of self-healing. I've had to overcome things like Lyme disease, eating disorders, all these things, and my whole company is designed around helping people stay at the best peak performance and get their minerals and things they need. But healers are extraordinary when they're gifted, and Holly's one of those. I don't understand how she does what she does. She's psychic. She's intuitive. She's intuitive. That's why it's invisible healing. So
I learn a lot from you.
She does learn a lot. We learn a lot together. So anyway, let's add some of your take to this.
Well, I guess what we talked about in the beginning, like manifesting the love of your life, how we use the law of attraction to do it. You attract what you put out. And so at the time of us meeting, when we first met online, neither of us, like I said, were in a position where we were ready for a relationship. And so that's why there was that big disconnect and nothing ever came out of it. And then that's when the personal growth phase came through. So that's when I started to realize that I wasn't in a healthy situation in my relationship. And so I ended it, ironically, literally within a week of talking to Matthew. And then over time, like the 6-month period, I think, before we finally saw each other in person, is when I overcame a lot of health issues. I was diagnosed with Lyme disease like Matthew. I was told that I could potentially have thyroid cancer, which is a powerless and danger conflict, and hypothyroidism. They weren't really sure.
Yep.
So I was going with all of that stuff, and I pretty much just never accepted it. When they said cancer, I didn't want to hear it, so I just never accepted that. And that's when I started to realize I needed to make changes in my life. So I moved out of the place that I was living in, and I got a new job in a new town, and that's where I was coming from when I ran into Matthew at the gas station too.
Yeah.
There's so many synchronicities.
Yeah.
And even at that point, I was like trying to start a new relationship with somebody that I wasn't compatible with.
Yeah.
But that's when I knew. When I saw Matthew, I looked at my friend in the car with me, and I was like, that's that guy. That's it. That's that guy that I saw with Tasha, blah, blah, blah. And just all the way home, I remember thinking to myself that there was something there. And we hugged, too, which was weird because we never really, talked other than, the most we talked was online, I think. But when we hugged, it was like you said, that spark you feel, when you feel it.
Yeah. Well, I remember the thing is, like, as a guy, when I saw her get out of the car, it was like that, like you see in the movies, where you're like, Dreamweaver, and you're like, woo, and I was like mesmerized, and I'm like, see, when love is that way, it's like, it will captivate you, and I was just in that zone, so the hug was just a natural thing. That was like, well, I already know this is here, so if it's here, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to make that first step. And as a guy, you guys got to know this. You guys got to make that first. You got to be a man. It's the age that the man has been diminished from society, but you still got to be a man. And you got to reach out and you got to show them you're interested. You can't be passive. You got to bring that forth. And I just want to put that in there. If you need help with that, definitely check out the website, get on some testosterone or something, but, get yourself, so that you're confident. You want to be confident. And I can't underestimate the power of working on yourself before you try to jump into a new relationship, because wherever you go, you show up. So whatever problems are present in your current circumstances, you can't think that you're going to leave those circumstances and be problem-free, because the problems come from within us. They're vibrational, and then we project them outwards, especially with relationships. We project onto other people ourselves.
Right, with a mirror. And
now what's interesting about Holly and I is that we both lost significant weight at the same time while we were getting in the process of meeting each other. Yeah. And what do you think about what that weight is we were holding on to armor. We were putting a barrier up between ourselves and the external world so that we could push people away. And why were we pushing people away?
Because we weren't supposed to have them as our partners.
Exactly. So I had a mentor one time that told me the secret to life is get happy or get the fuck out. But the thing is get happy. Get happy. And, lose the weight if you got to lose the weight. Get yourself where you want to be. If you want to sleep with yourself, other people will too. Just remember that. And you're not going to see yourself. Like, I don't think, like, when I see myself, I go, oh my gosh, I haven't shaved in a few days. And
I'm like,
she likes it, which is crazy. And she'll say stuff like, I feel this way, look at me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, but see, that's, anyway.
We have that chemical attraction too. After he gets out of the gym, or after I feel like I haven't showered in long enough, and he's like, come over here, and he's sniffing.
Yeah, the biochemical reaction. It's like the pheromone thing and the animal lust, animal instinct. That'll be there.
Well, you said, we were both going through, like we both lost all of that weight, and we've both heard and read that you meet the love of your life, your soulmate, when you are your best version of yourself.
Yes, that's when you should meet them.
Yeah.
And especially as a man, you're supposed to choose your life partner when you are physically at your strongest point. Like that's when your reptilian brain is going to be throwing out those signals, and you'll vibrationally pull that into your life. And what's pretty cool about that is, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm, 40 years old. But when I hit this phase, when she came into my life, I had become the strongest specimen of myself ever in this life. Mental, physical, and emotional, everything all lined up. And there is a lot to say about that. When you've gotten yourself to the point where you're ready, that's when you should be on the lookout, because that's when the right one's going to show up. If you're in discord and you're in disharmony and you've got problems and skeletons in the closet and you've got all these things, that's probably not going to be the real love of your life that shows up, because you're not ready yet.
Right. And they might show up to help you become that person. They may just be a stepping stone to help you realize what you need to overcome.
Yeah.
Because that's been true for both of us. I would say that we had people in our life that weren't harmonious in terms of like a life partner, but they definitely help us overcome what we needed to overcome in order to engage in this relationship.
Exactly. And in the book, the Allow book, there's a process that I think you should have, and it's called the ABC break process. And what you're doing is you're changing the physics of your mind, and you're changing your vibration, because everything is vibration. So in the ABC break process, you can learn it in the book, and I'll teach it to you right now in a short nutshell, is first of all, you think about what you don't want. So think about being loveless and whatever, you're lacking love. If you're looking for love, you're lacking love. Think about that. What does that feel like? Now think about the opposite of that. The opposite of that is, if you can't remember a time when you're loved, you're going to have to manufacture it. And so I'll show you how to do that. So what you do is you get your favorite music that just makes you feel the most elated sense of joy you can possibly feel. And what you do is you put that music on and you step mentally into a place of peace first. So step onto a beach or somewhere where you feel a sense of peace. And then you go to the end result. You imagine as if you already have the lover of your life present in your life. Then you turn that music all the way up as you're visualizing yourself with all of your five senses, sight, touch, taste, sound, all these things. Like, feel the lover of your life. Like, they're with you right now. They're with you in your mind. You go there and you turn that music up that makes you feel good and feel joy. Just resonate with this video right now if you're picking this up. Just feel this feeling, this sense of safety, security, love, trust, honor, commitment, all these good feelings. And bring them into your third eye and step into that picture and make it big and bright and colorful, and own that image for about a minute or two, and do that once a day. And do it as often as you feel compelled to do it. And what you're doing is you're changing the physics of your mind, and you're putting out a new signal. And what that'll do is that will open you up to whatever's necessary in your life to become the person who's supposed to be that person to receive what you're looking for. And learn more about it in the book. And
well, to add to what you just said,
yeah,
one thing I really believe in is like using affirmations and things like that, which you said about the music. You stop listening to the sad songs about like cheating and things like that, because you manifest that when you play that stuff all the time. But when you came into my life,
Holly's a country singer, and she's an amazing vocalist. But these songs, some of these, the best copywriting in the world is country music, but some of these songs are just awful. I mean, cheaters, liars, manipulators, deceivers. What's that one song called? Chaser, about a guy that all he does is chase women and then let them go. Well, don't engage that vibration. Don't engage those songs out there that make you repel what you want. Don't become, the word becomes a flesh. Don't become that.
Right. Well, what you focus on, you become.
So I did the opposite. So I wrote songs, and this is actually really cool. This is Advanced Manifestation 101. When you find the person you want, what I did is I started writing lyrics, and I wrote lyrics to songs, and I have a process of how I do it. I basically take a song, like a Maroon 5 song, I look at the lyrics, and then I look at the rhythm, like a 5-7-5, how many syllables are in each line. I take those syllables and I write my dream into that same framework, and I send it off to a professional musician on Fiverr.com, and I let them record it. And I made Holly like 6 or 7 songs.
And they're like happening.
And they're happening. I create consciously. Now think about that. It's the power of emotion. That's the power of manifestation, big time. That's manifestation on steroids. We put together the songs and we live the songs.
Yeah.
So you don't have to actually do all that. You don't have to write all songs and this and that. But if you feel inspired, it's a great thing to do. But sing the songs that you want, like Pharrell's song, I'm So Happy. It may sound corny, but sing songs like that because that's what you're going to create.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and that's what I was going to say is I stopped experiencing the sad emotional state that I was in. I was getting over that, and I started to listen to music that kind of manifested Matthew.
Yeah.
That's going to be a book.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the basics of it. We don't want to make this video too long. We're at 22 minutes almost here. But hopefully you got something out of this, and the next steps would be obviously to put it into application, because your vibration is really everything, and how you see yourself is so important. You may think you're unlovable, you may think that you're flawed, and you are, because everybody's flawed, but you're not unlovable. And that's the thing, is you have to find within yourself that confidence and that self-esteem to receive. It takes confidence to receive what you're asking for. You're asking through contrast. If you feel like you lack love, that rocket of desire of wanting love will be shot off into the universe. You're sending a signal out. Bring me love, bring me love. Where that meets is where you have to join in, is you have to be that person that has the love. You have to be that person now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to put a link below to the songs that I wrote for Holly. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And I want you just to kind of, if you want to, feel the energy in those songs. Those songs contain transformational power. And it's mostly about our relationship, but you can see exactly what I did to consciously and emotionally attach my creations and make them real so that I could continue to be that person.
How you planted the seed.
Planting the seeds. All right. Well, thank you guys.